I was recently reading about OVW and reading through the roster list that was shown, and it has you, Jim, listed as the director of operations. Since this was on Wikipedia, I question the accuracy of this, but I was wondering what role, if any, you have within OVW currently.
No, well, that was correct at the time, or at one time. It's just not been updated. And I can't actually remember, probably sometime around 2013, I went back and helped out for a little while. And then I did several weeks of TV 2 years ago now, this month, probably, as a matter of fact. But I don't do anything officially, but I still go over and visit Danny Davis from time to time. But usually it's early in the day before the wrestlers and the fans get there.
Obviously, you didn't like working with John Laurinaitis and having the WWE just poaching your guys and throwing them on the main roster and ruining them after you had them going pretty good in OVW. But well,
you make it sound so horrible. Actually, it was even worse. No, no, they were made to be poached. That was the whole idea. We were training them to be poached. I didn't have any problem with that. The no notice and the bad gimmicks part is what I think frustrated me more than anything else. And so many guys that had a lot of potential that now, my God, the people would just fawn over some of them now because they could do all the shit that not invisible hand grenades, but all the acrobatics and stuff and perform at a high level. And they ended up, I won't mention any specific gimmicks, but some of them were rough. It caused many of them to quit the fucking business.
What do you miss about OVW? What do you miss about your daily working there when you were there every day?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Right now, nothing, because if I had to do that right now at my age and my energy level, I'd have a stroke within a week. But what I enjoyed there was just booking fucking wrestling. I guess I'm Jim Cornette and I'm a fucking wrestleaholic. I loved writing the show every week and fucking laid it out and fucking calling it. And I'm going crazy the whole fucking time because I've had little sleep and I'm fucking, concentrating and manic over everything. But I liked seeing the people coming and raving and screaming and liked telling stories of the boys as far as how things are supposed to be done. And, and helping those guys learn the business. So I liked all of that, the whole process. Well, I liked the result. I didn't really like any of the process because it was a fucking shitload of work every fucking week. I got to where the non-wrestling day I had was Thursday because after TV, I'd take one day to recuperate. And then either Friday or Saturday, we might have spot shows, or we definitely would have spot shows, which I might go to. Sunday and Monday was writing days. Tuesday was getting stuff to Danny and getting ready, and Wednesday and sometimes a Tuesday night church show, and Wednesday was taping day, and then you did it all over again. We did 300. What's 6 years times 52? 312 shows. I missed 4. One was because of a flooded basement, and I think 3 were because of my hernia surgery. But I came back to produce one of the 3 that I missed after the hernia surgery. I just couldn't speak loudly or move. So motherfuckers, beat that fucking record.
It doesn't have to be the person who's the most successful or has had the most success in wrestling, but when you look back at your period of time in OVW, is there one wrestler who was your favorite in terms of either someone you worked with or someone you developed from scratch?
No, because if I say that, then a bunch of people probably listening are going to fucking get mad at me because I picked a favorite. There were a lot of good ones from Danny Davis's original group of Nick Dinsmore and Rob Conway and Doug Basham and the Damaja, who all deserved to go much farther than they did in the WWF system, especially the Bashams, as they were called, but Doug and Danny, Jeter, and Mondo and Matt Morgan. And I mean, all the guys that made it to be stars. And those are a big fucking list too. But some of the guys, Hitman Chris Cage, who didn't do himself any favors at one point. But he was good talent. Of course, Muhammad Hassan, Mark Magnus, who's the only wrestler in modern history to get canceled by the TV network. Just fucking killed his fucking career. How could I, for the poor Spirit Squad? It was just a mass murder of gimmicks. I can't even remember all the shitty ones off the top of my head. Morgan Stuttering just fucking killed it for me. I was down here fucking seething that you get a legit fucking 7 foot, 300 pound guy. It looks like a bodybuilder that's still in his 20s that had 4.0 fucking grade average and is an amazing fucking talker and gets over as babyface or heel better than anybody else in the fucking company of all guys you've signed contracts. And you fucking take him and put him on TV and make him a blithering fucking idiot. That
was the big thing. Beyond everything else was the fact that he really was a good talker.
Yes. He was carrying the fucking promos on the shows especially where he was the heel down here and really got a chance to fucking have fun. But as a babyface, he made it work too because he could fucking speak. So I don't want to say a favorite however your fucking question was phrased. But if you want to talk about unprovoked flops, what do they call them? Unforced errors in fucking main event talent and all those names that I've fucking mentioned, but especially that one. My God. And I could come up with others too if I had prepared for the question, which I hadn't because I just heard it. But yeah, I don't know how the fuck they, and it really, a lot of these guys, he never recovered from that because then he went to TNA and that coincided with the fucking, he was restrained in TNA. Let's put it that way. And he never really recovered from flopping in the WWE because they took a guy with absolutely no weaknesses. And he was experienced enough in the ring that he could fucking work much more adequately than the normal WWF standard at the time. So they took a guy with absolutely no flaws and gave him a flaw. Why if you're marketing a star with no flaws, it wasn't Tom McGee, but he was all right. And you give him a fucking flaw.
7 foot tall, could cut a promo. I don't know what happened there, but
could play, but he's a 320 pound bodybuilder at the time that also played high level college basketball. So he could drop kick and shit. You fucking morons. Now, the more I think about it, you're working me up.
Well, one last OVW-themed question here. Kenny Bolan, of course, becomes the star maker in OVW. He had a very, very, very brief run with Nick Gulas during one of his revivals in the late 80s where he...
Do you want me to tell you that story?
Well, I know that story. You can tell it afterward, but my question is...
If I told it to you or has Bolan told it to you?
Bolan has told it.
Well, you might not, but go ahead. Answer your question.
Well, we may have to hear what you have to say, but my question is, here you give him a chance to work there as a manager. Were you surprised by how well he did? And at any point, did you ever think, I wish I would have used him in Smoky Mountain in one way or another?
No and no. Well, no, I wasn't surprised because I knew he'd been watching this for years. He actually had a little experience now because he'd worked on a few independents around here. But no, I knew if you just... I would not have, he would not have fit in Smoky Mountain because the experience level and talent was higher. And also, I don't think he would have been any good at doing what he was doing then because he didn't fully form as the personality that he is until probably about the time we were both in our late 30s. But with Kenny, you couldn't teach him normal things about wrestling because he had to go out and be himself and do the things that he would do. And then he was fine. If you tried to modify that, I don't know what you'd get. So I wasn't surprised he was a success in OVW. And I'm not sorry that I didn't use him in Smoky Mountain.
What's your version of his meeting and working for briefly Nick Gulas story?
Well, I think he met Nick and I think he allegedly worked for Nick. I don't know that Nick ever paid him. He claims he knocked on the door at one time and George's, oh, Dad's not here. And then he saw Nick walking around in his bathrobe or whatever. But then he got some money. But poor Nick, I think he did about 6 weeks of TV and Bolan did the local promos. And and stooged around a little for him. He makes it sound like he was running goddamn Gulas Welch Wrestling Enterprises, the way he tells it in the dawn of the 70s.